Thank you for all who care to join me. Let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are we missing anyone? Karen. Okay, you got it.
Lauren.
Okay.
Lauren.
And Lauren.
Oh, and Lauren.
Yes, Lauren.
Yep,
She's on
thank you.
vacation. Yes, she's out of town.
I blanked.
Oh, I can speak.
I'd like to read our board norms. Debate, commentary, and discussion are healthy and open. Listening and speaking are equally important, and both should be done with respect and consideration. Focus is on students and our schools, not politics. Assume best intentions in all discussions. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have anyone for public input?
I didn't check the thing. Did you check the thing? I will.
Let me check.
I would sidetrack. I'm gonna check the thing. I don't think we have anybody.
All right, we don't have anyone for public input. So we'll move to our student rep reports.
All right. At Northwest, students and staff had a busy December. The week leading up to December break was filled with creativity and school spirit. Our annual Make It, Take It event was a success and offered students an afternoon of hands-on learning and fun. Students had the opportunity to participate in 3 activities. They painted wooden stars, built snowmen out of clay, constructed marshmallow shooters, and then tested their precision against targets. To wrap up the calendar year, we held our Hero Assembly hosted by Mrs. Lambert's 2nd grade. They shared with us what they are grateful for. We also recognized students who exemplified the character trait of gratitude, as well as our Reaching for the Stars recipients. We ended the week on a sweet note with our ice cream sundaes, generously sponsored by Heritage Family Credit Union as a reward for our school's participation in the Stuff of Us community drive. We've had a smooth transition back to school after break. Both students and staff have quickly settled back into their daily routines. Teachers are currently busy finalizing grades for mid-year report cards. Families can expect to find report cards in their child's folder on Friday, December 30th. Finally, we are officially kicking off this year's Kids Heart Challenge. Nick Strantz from the American Heart Association joined us for an assembly and spoke to the students about the importance of heart health. Students will work with Mr. Kupeli in PE classes to learn about making healthy lifestyle choices to help take care of their hearts. Through the Kids Heart Challenge, students will also have the opportunity to participate in challenges at home, including learning how to perform hands-on only CPR with their families. Hands only. At Northeast, December was a joyful and community-centered month. We are deeply grateful for the support of our community partners, including Shop with Cup, WSYB, and Tatum's Totes, whose generosity helped make this season special for our students. We also want to thank our families and community members for supporting the PTC Applebee's fundraiser, which is helping raise funds for our upcoming book vending machine. The December Pause character trait focus was creativity, highlighted by a special visit from children's book author Mitch Francis, who was invited by Mrs. Brusso's kindergarten class. Students loved learning about his creative process and what inspires his writing. During the month of December, the district transitioned the early childhood special education team and classroom to Northeast Primary. We are excited to welcome this team and be more connected to the city's youngest learners. As we move into January and February, we will be busy with the mid-year assessment for our report cards and the FastBridge screener, and we look forward to seeing our students' continued growth. We also hope families and interested community members will join us on January 29th at 5 p.m. to discuss next steps for our new playground, with plans to break ground this spring. Report cards will come home in students' folders on Friday, January 30th. And at RIS, prior to the new year, our school hosted several music events and performances, including a wonderful school-wide sing-along facilitated by our music staff. Our robotics club competed at Rutland High School alongside several other schools, showcasing their skills and teamwork. Additionally, our 5th grade students demonstrated compassion and community service by collecting items to donate to the Humane Society. This month, we are working on the character trait of adaptability. Grades 4 and 6 will be hosting an assembly at the end of the month. We will begin our next round of winter assessments using the Fastbridge Screener. This will give us a good comparison of our academic performance from fall to winter. Also, we are excited to host the Army National Guard Band Concert. They will host an assembly around instruments as well as perform for the school. And finally, a personal shout out from our RIS principal to Hallie Kaludi, if she's watching. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday to Mrs. Kaludi. Birth. She had to give birth to her.
Oh, right. I was like, what?
Amazing.
Good one.
From Rutland Middle School, we are in our 2nd week of lifelong sports. It has been a joy to watch students learn a new sport and navigate new experiences for the first time. Our Wellness in the Wilderness class is camping at Grout Pond this evening. This class has worked on executive functioning and building positive relationships in collaboration with the Vermont Forest Program. They will spend 2 nights in a cabin learning skills such as compass navigation, outdoor cooking, and cross-country skiing. Please join us tomorrow for our annual Community Resource Fair from 5 to 7:30. We have multiple musical performances, a dinner, a coffee house, and numerous community partners. Families can come and receive support with career development, signing up for Medicaid, and more. For Rutland High School is wrapping up the first semester this week, with midterm exams taking place on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Students are working hard to prepare for their exams, and the first day of the new semester is on Friday. Students with semester classes will start new classes. RHS will host our annual 8th grade open house on Thursday evening. 8th grade families are invited to join us at RHS, meet teachers, learn about our many opportunities, and cap off the evening with sports and activities fair in the cafeteria. Come and learn all about what is offered at the high school. For the Rutland Middle School Epic, students are exploring sustainable fashion through repurposing and repairing thrifted clothing. An entrepreneurial group is learning Cricut technical and design skills in preparation for student-created apparel project in the new year. In December, students will also cook items to donate to community organizations and school staff. And from the Rutland High School Epic, we are thankful that tutoring opportunities are expanding as we transition into 2026. We are also collaborating with community partners to launch new financial literacy and health career exploration programs beginning in January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions? Excuse me, for our student reps? Questions? Okay. Moving to school choice report and school choice limits.
I'm going to give a quick introduction to the presentation that's going to be given, just to differentiate between the different terms that we use about school choice. So as the board considers matters related to school choice, I want to make sure that you understand which type of school choice we're talking about tonight. While the term's often used broadly, school choice under Vermont statute has specific meaning, and it applies differently depending on whether the school's town of residence offers a public school or not. The type of school choice that we're talking about tonight is an option that allows school districts to designate choices for their resident students, even when a town or a city operates their own high school. Through board action and policy, families are able to seek enrollment for their student at a public school rather than the one that they typically would attend wherever they live. In your board packet, you received information about the specific statute as well as information about our current numbers and a little bit of historical data. We can certainly answer any questions about the statute if you have them. The type of school choice that we're not talking about tonight is the one that refers to students who have a whose town of residents do not offer the grade level that we're talking about, whether it's high school or elementary. That's more commonly referred to as tuitioning. However, school choice is certainly used interchangeably. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about when towns have a school. However, we have a choice agreement. With that introduction, I'm going to introduce Greg Schillinger, principal of Rutland High School, and Associate Principal Tiffany Morano to talk about where we're at and their recommendations.
So for this current school year, right now, we have approximately 35 students who have school choiced into Rutland High School, while we only have 24 students going out to other schools in other areas. And if you have the sheet, we have it broken down by seniors, juniors, sophomore, freshmen. This year we have 9 seniors who have continued to choice into Rutland, 13 juniors, 8 sophomores, and 5 freshmen were brought in this year for school choice. If they all stay and move up, we're looking at having approximately 14 openings next year for the school year anticipated for us. And then, so we kind of ended up with a net gain of 11 students in our school based on that information. We do have a few openings, 5 openings left for the remainder of the year. I know we just accepted a new student from superintendent to superintendent who will start Friday from Greater Rutland County. So we still have some students potentially looking to transfer over to Rutland High School, given what we can offer.
And your recommendation for school limits for next year, is that?
So our request is that the board maintain the limits as they have been for the last several years of 40 students in and 40 students out.
I'd like to move that we set the limits for, I'm sorry, you scared me.
Sorry.
It's okay, you just scared
You
me.
can change the number if you want.
Oh,
So
goodness.
sorry.
I move that we set the limits for public school choice at 40 incoming and 40 outgoing students for Rutland High School for the 2026-2027 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Easy. Need to jump. I'm just jumping. Now I don't know why. I got so
scared you. Okay,
Superintendent's report.
superintendent's report.
There we go.
Okay.
So you'll hear a lot about the community resource fair and community event that's happening tomorrow night, and it was included in the student report. We'll also, I was going to highlight it here. At your spot, you have a flyer that publicizes the event. It also has been on 2 TV stations today, and shout out to Chris Van Skyver and the team at the middle school who has taken the lead on this district-wide event. It's from 5 to 7:30 tomorrow night at the Keefe Gym down at the Middle and Intermediate School campus. Last week, I received an invitation to provide testimony to a joint session with the House and Senate Education Committees. Earlier today, I delivered that testimony. They asked that I respond to 3 prompts. One was the work of the redistricting task force, what my hopes are for the legislative session regarding Act 73, and a discussion of the ingredients for excellent education opportunities. Since I was with them for a full 30 minutes, I won't go through my full testimony, but you can look forward. Actually, I sent it already. So my testimony is in your inbox, in your emails. If you have any questions, feel free to give a shout. Recognizing that it is only January 13th and we still have a good chunk of winter weather ahead of us, I would like to extend a huge thank you and recognition of our maintenance crew. Despite whatever the weather is in the morning, they're out there and they're making sure that our buildings and grounds are ready to welcome students. There's certainly no snow or ice days for our maintenance crew. In fact, I think their days are longer and harder, so just a special thanks to them. And the last item I have, you may have noticed that I try to use some of my airtime here in the superintendent's report to highlight a particular program or an event or an accomplishment of our students or our staff. This month, I'm going to shine the light on our special education, or Special Olympics Unified Sports programs. With Patricia Agner's help, which I needed quite a bit of tech help, we created this little video.
At Rutland City Public Schools, Unified Sports is more than a program. It is an integral part of who we are. Unified Sports brings to life every element of our portrait of a graduate. It creates meaningful opportunities for students to learn from one another through shared athletic experiences during the school day and beyond. Athletes and their partners from our intermediate, middle, and high schools practice and compete together across Vermont in soccer, bowling, basketball, and bocce. These experiences build teamwork, confidence, leadership, and belonging, lessons that extend far beyond the playing field. The Unified Sports Club for students in grades 3 through 8 offers opportunities to snowshoe, practice healthy habits, learn good nutrition, and participate in supported workouts, building lifelong wellness skills. At Rutland High School, our Unified Sports course provides a truly unique and extraordinary learning opportunity for approximately 150 students each year. Along with health and physical education components, students consistently report powerful social and emotional benefits, developing empathy, communication skills, and character traits that enrich their lives well into adulthood. None of this would be possible without the dedication and passion of our unified coordinators and coaches. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Sarah Gee, Lisa Borner, Ashley Bonilla, Lisa Frankel, Jess Hauk, Adrian Weld, and Jason Casarino. Last month, the impact of Unified Sports extended even further. RHS Unified Sports bowling alumni reunited for an afternoon of friendship and fun, part of a community impact project organized by Adrian Weld. The goal was simple but powerful: to maintain meaningful connections with students and families after graduation. The event created space for reconnection, networking, staying active, and remaining socially connected, showing our current seniors what's possible beyond high school. Unified Sports at Rutland City Public Schools is about inclusion, opportunity, and community. It's about learning together, competing together, and growing together.
And I'll just say, it was a holiday gift to be able to spend the afternoon with that alumni. I hadn't seen any of them since graduation. It really was very heartwarming and a great time.
No bumpers on that strike either.
There were none. It was completely by accident that was caught on video.
Oh my gosh, that's
And-
great.
And honestly, the sound, we decided to eliminate the sound, but the roar of the people watching was phenomenal. Yeah.
Imagine. Wow. Great, thanks for that, Pam.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you. That was wonderful.
Good job, Patricia.
So, Ted, we have our fiscal year 27 budget ratification and approval of ballot language up next.
All right, well, hello, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. Just pull up on the screen our chart for tonight. We have several objectives for presenting tonight's budget update. The first, of course, is to share with the full board an overview of the FY27 budget that was presented last week to the Finance and Strategic Planning Committee and was discussed in that committee meeting. The second purpose is to invite and answer any further questions that board members might have about the proposed budget. Third, we want to ask the board to consider passing a motion that would approve the recommended budget for next year. And lastly, to ask the board to ratify budget ballot language that could be submitted to the town clerk in preparation for town meeting day. As you might recall, in past years, this ballot language that we're presenting for your approval follows statutory requirements. And these requirements do not allow for any discretion in editing either the wording or the numbers shown as defined by the Agency of Education. As those who had the opportunity to attend our Finance Committee meetings throughout the fall and winter will certainly know, preparing a budget for next year has been as challenging, if not more challenging, than any budget work in recent years. In this regard, we should acknowledge all of the focus and all of the effort that's been devoted by many members of the administrative team into preparing this budget over many months. All elements of this budget have gone through several iterations in recent months. When we would learn of potentially higher expenses in one area, we redoubled efforts to look elsewhere for efficiencies and possible offsets. As you might recall, we went into the last two budget cycles for FY25 and for FY26, targeting to manage our overall costs to annual increases of 5% or less, and we achieved those budget targets. This year, we were seeking ways to manage total expenses within a budget increase of 4% or less. Working closely with Pam, Bianca, Kerry, and many members of our team, the budget we are proposing tonight also hits that target, in spite of challenging cost pressures. Doing so has required difficult choices, but as we've also said in our reviews with you in the past, the solution is out there. We just need to be resourceful enough to find it. So, as you'll see on this chart on the screen and in your board materials, total expenses are budgeted to increase by 3.9% or $2.6 million next year to $69.8. The outlook for federal title grant funding and some other competitive grants anticipates a reduction in some of this funding for next year. However, the administration is recommending a partial drawdown of working capital balances. Those balances are currently higher than is needed for our ongoing cash flow management, which involves managing the different timing between cash inflows and cash outflows. Last month, in December, we reviewed these plans for a potential working capital drawdown with our public auditor, Sullivan and Powers. They took no exception from a fiscal standpoint in doing so. That's why on the second line of this chart for revenues, you'll see an actual increase in revenues from 26 to 27. With that adjustment, and by taking this responsible step, the district's call on state funding, shown on the third line, would remain essentially flat from year to year at $43 million. The next two lines on this chart show you the latest result for key pupil metrics. The long-term weighted average daily membership, and below it, the average per pupil education spending. As you may know, our district benefited from favorable impacts of revised student weights that were implemented by Act 127, effective for fiscal 25. Those can be considered not so much a benefit as a restoration in terms of where we should have been for the last 20 years with more updated pupil metrics. But with that adjustment, the district resulted in seeing its long-term average daily membership increase by more than 11% in fiscal 25, then another 5% in fiscal 26. But as you can see in this year, looking forward to fiscal 27, we're anticipating about a 4% decrease. Part of that has to do with a modest decrease in enrollment. Part of that also has to do with changes in metrics for students who are coming from lower income families. And with changes in Medicare subsidies and other reporting streams, we're seeing a slight reduction in the recognition of those students, and that is contributing to this 4% decline that you see. Now, with the state funding remaining essentially flat, if the number of pupils for which we're given credit by the AOE, per their definition, goes down by 4%, then it's not surprising that our per pupil average education spending also goes up by almost 4%. And those numbers are shown there. Now, right below that, in the lower part of the panel, you see the proposed ballot language, which uses three of the numbers that are in the chart above. As always, the statute requires that we notify voters of what the total expenditures would be. That's on the top line. And then we're required to indicate what the AOE and statutory prescribed definition of per pupil education spending is, and I've shown you that calculation. It's interesting to note that that per pupil education spending is actually a function of the $43 million and not the 69, but that is what it is. And as you can see, that would be up by about 3.8% year to year. So that ballot language incorporates the three metrics that we're required to do so. At this point, I would be glad to answer any questions that you have.
I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, so
I'd like to move that the board approve and ratify the annual budget for Rutland City Public Schools for the fiscal year 2027 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
any additional discussion?
Just wanted to thank Ted and his team and the administration for working so hard to find the savings where you found savings. Thank you.
It's all about the students, and it's
Yep.
definitely a team effort, thanks to everybody. And we appreciate the ongoing support and involvement of the Finance Committee, which has been essential as always. Thank you for that.
It's Ted.
Ballot
So I'll-
language. Oh, sorry.
Ballot?
Go ahead.
No, I
Oh,
was just
and
gonna
all those
remind
in
you about
favor,
language.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
thanks,
okay.
sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we approve the ballot language required in statute for the 2027 fiscal year budget. Would you like me to read it?
I think you have to read it.
Absolutely. Article number 1, school budget. Shall the voters of the school district approve the school board to expend $69,836,000, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. The Rutland City School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per-pupil education spending of $12,666, which is 3.8% higher than per-pupil spending for the current year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great.
Thank you so much for your time, and I just want to assure the committee and the full board that even though you have approved the budget for '27, our work on the budget doesn't stop, because we work on the budget all year long, working with our colleagues to try and find opportunities to save money wherever we can. So tomorrow morning, we go back to work on that. Thank you so
Thank you,
much for
Ted.
your time.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
Okay, the strategic plan mid-year review.
Here we go.
Here we go.
So you received a comprehensive report in your packet that has progress noted on all of the strategies that are included in the strategic plan. Tonight, we'll highlight our progress on several of those strategies. Just a reminder, this is year 2 of a 5-year implementation plan. We have 29 strategies included in the plan. 22 of them are in progress they're in process with progress as expected. That's 22 out of the 29. 5 of them are postponed, which means they're planned further out, and we moved 2 of those strategies to monitoring. Bianca's going to touch base on those highlights, and within the conversation, we're going to weave in how our resources for success, which is the third priority area, how that has impacted the topics that she talks about. At the end, I'll also kind of circle back on any other resources. One of our strategies in the resources for success area is to plan and budget in accordance with our priorities. So I will also hit anything that we don't hit throughout the process. I'll circle back and touch on those. Okay.
Yes, so we decided, as you'll recall, we have 3 priority areas. The first is teaching and learning. The second is evolution of wellness through inclusive school communities. And the third is resources for success. However, if you look at the strategies that we have outlined, there's so much overlap between those 3 areas that we're going to sort of update you on some progress that in many cases falls within various strategies throughout the different areas. So I'll just highlight some of the work we've been doing since we last updated you, which was in September. We have really worked this year on our Tier 1 universal instruction, which is for all students. Specifically, we are in year 1 of implementation of the University of Florida Literacy Institute, otherwise known as UFLI, for phonics instruction, which is supporting literacy primarily in grades K through 3. We trained all of our staff over the summer, and we're working on consistency in that Tier 1 instruction for literacy. We are also scaling that up to other tiers. So, you'll hear me reference tiers. It's part of our multi-tiered system of support. Universal is considered Tier 1 for all of our students. We're also looking at scaling up to Tier 2, which is more targeted intervention. And then also higher tiers, which would be a more intensive level of instruction. We're also, you'll hear me talk later on some of our efforts with literacy in our upper grades. We also, through an amendment to our title grants, have recently entered into a contract with All Learners Network to help us with next steps for our math curriculum. So we spent some time surveying our staff around our current math practices and the curriculum that we are using, and if it is giving us what we need right now to meet the needs of our students. So we are going to have, be working with a consultant who is starting this week by doing some observation, looking at our survey results and helping us with next steps so that we can move forward with more aligned steps for math instruction at the beginning of next school year. We have implemented consistent universal screening for K through 10th grade, and that is FastBridge, which we use for progress monitoring 3 times a year. We use that for our universal screener 3 times a year in grades K through 10, a minimum of 3 times a year. We do have one school that's doing it a little more regularly. And we use that to identify needs for students in the areas of literacy and math. We then, based on the results of that universal screener, we will do some additional diagnostic testing. We are still working on making sure we have the right diagnostic testing at different grade levels. Throughout this year, we have increased our efforts in standardizing the testing conditions for FastBridge so that students really understand why we are using that assessment data, so that hopefully they give their best effort. We also have some creative things happening. For example, our middle school has started to try to incentivize the test for students and has done some really creative low cost but high student interest rewards. So like if a student individually increases their score, as an example, they could put in for lunch with the principal, which is very popular with middle school students. And we're hoping that by having consistency in how we administer the assessments, as well as really getting buy-in from students, that we will have better, more accurate data that we can use to drive our instruction. We are also increasing our training on how we administer the screening and how we review that data. And that is part of Act 139, to have that additional training for staff, particularly in Act 139. It speaks to literacy in grades K through 3. We are using our teacher leader time, and we are doing a mix of full group teacher leader work where everybody who serves as a teacher leader in the district is all together, and also doing some differentiation and breaking out by grade levels. The focus continues to be on our multi-tiered system of support and our data teams and how we use our data team structure to help us review student progress. We also have spent some time reviewing math and literacy programs and our Tier 1 skills. In January, our teacher leaders will be broken up by age bands, grade bands, sorry. We will be working on prioritization of standards in K2 to help make sure that we are clear on the areas of focus, assessment, and intervention. In 3 through 6, they will be reviewing the winter FastBridge data and looking at next steps for instruction. And 7 through 12, we'll be doing professional development on literacy instruction specific to vocabulary within content areas. Related to our wellness work, again, you'll find crossover. We have this year begun a lifetime sports program for our K through 2 students, and also increased some student connection to what they're learning through interest groups at the intermediate school that they are beginning to implement. The intermediate school also spent some time this summer developing behavior academies that they are using to help students to learn impacts of different behavioral choices and to sort of help educate students. We are working actively to increase our parent-family engagement. A few of the efforts I'll talk about include the real effort this year to take our community resource night that's happening tomorrow night at the middle school and really have that be district-wide. We are using our Stronger Connections grant to have parent-family engagement coordinators in each building that are helping tie in the work of our regular events as well as the community resource night. And we also have increased, as Pam made mention to this, but musical performance opportunities for some of our clubs, like our handbells, for example, or our middle school jazz band will be performing at that event. That hopefully will be encouraging more families to come and while they're there, access the additional resources that will be there. We also will have our coaches at that event, our academic coaches and coordinators, providing information to families on ways that they can integrate math and literacy at home, as well as Bethany, our data coach, will be there talking with families about what is fast bridge testing and why do we do that. So another thing we are doing with our community partnerships is we are increasing our partnerships, particularly with Come Alive Outside, which is also part of our Stronger Connections grant. We have partnered with them for the last few years to run neighborhood playgroups in the summer for students, primarily K through 2, our youngest learners. We are increasing those opportunities when we have school breaks and increasing the age range. So for example, over the last winter break, they ran a Stranger Things themed watch party on New Year's Eve for teenagers that was substance free. And we were able to utilize our Stronger Connections grant to help support that. So we're going to be looking at more activities for different age groups for our youth when they are not directly in school, but when they are on those breaks to help build those community connections for students and families.
You'll recall last year we did a survey of our primary buildings of what are some barriers to participating in community events. So in order to help break down any barriers we have to participating, we are offering transportation to events like the Community Resource Fair, as well as any required events that students have to be at in the evening, like the STEM fair at the high school, etc.
Yes, and we've increased our efforts connected to parent-family engagement as well. We have additional resources for our MLL families, our multilingual learner families, to have additional supports at some of the events so they're more accessible for students and families. Another, connected to many areas of the strategic plan, another effort underway is working to improve our attendance data, our accuracy in reporting, as well as how we are re-engaging students and families. So we are in the process of working on clear and consistent attendance procedures that we would use and implement across the district. And as a part of that, we are revising the letters that families receive to try to have them be more of a restorative approach to re-engage the family and the students that are struggling to attend regularly, in the hope that that will make a difference and allow our families the supports they need to engage. That is my portion. I will turn it over to Pam, and then we will answer any questions.
So I had done a brainstorm kind of all the different ways that we're allocating resources, or that we budgeted in a different way so that we were able to address the priorities that we've set forth. So as Bianca was talking, I starred the ones that she had hit. So I'm going to just hit the ones that she didn't. We have dedicated attention to exploring early childhood learning opportunities. We have expanded, in the next year, we are expanding classroom instruction for our early childhood special education program, so that there will be a classroom in both Northeast and Northwest. We did move, as in the student report, we moved away from VAC and included those programs in our schools. It was both a cost savings and a good move for students and staff. Our calendar, which you approved earlier in the consent agenda for 26-27, includes time for ongoing professional development rather than just at the beginning of the school year and at the end. So we'll now have opportunities during the year. That was a request that's been out there for a few years, so we're happy to be able to offer that. We also have a strategy to provide inclusive environments for our students. So to that end, in the budget, we have allocated funds to repair and upgrade our elevators, also to address the cafeteria and kitchen needs at our Rutland Intermediate and Middle School campus, as well as provide some updates and upscale our playgrounds at Northeast and Northwest. We're also analyzing our school day schedules, including transportation, to make adjustments that will maximize student learning and the effectiveness of. We are just in the planning stages of this and hoping that next year we'll be able to make some changes to our school schedules. It will also help. We will be looking at shared staff across the district to see if a schedule change can help improve their availability. And lastly, the only other one I have is about infrastructure, and to that end, we are working on upgrading our phone and PA system, which is also included in the budget. Are there questions about the strategic plan and where we're at?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm just want to maybe a little bit of clarification on what does postponed mean as far as, is it something that stopped the progress of it, or just means versus a multi-goal versus what would you consider to be what would constitute something for you to mark it at risk? Like what trigger has to happen for that to happen?
That we've been working on it and we aren't making the progress that we expect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That would be at risk.
Yeah, that would be-
Postponed would be, it's not in a year 1 or 2 priority. So you'll see there, occasionally in the report, you might see some notes where like, we've actually done some things towards this, but it's not an active goal we're pursuing right now because there might be other foundational work that has to be put in place first before we would actively grab onto that strategy.
Okay. Gotcha.
Good question. And this report will be on our website for those at home who are watching who would like to see how we're doing on the strategic plan and have more details. We do put those reports on there as well.
I just have a quick, maybe, because I feel like that question that Charlene just asked, like, I feel like every time you guys bring this up, so maybe put like at the end of it, a suggestion, like what a key of what each one means for those at home.
Oh, was that asked before? And I just asked it again?
No, it's fine. No, but it's, I just remember this question being, I just remember it being asked before, not necessarily by you, but I mean, you know, we hear, it's something that we don't hear about daily, so our minds may not quite remember, just, that's just a good point, housekeeping.
And I just want to applaud the efforts and the work that goes into keeping a strategic plan going year after year and all the progress. I mean, it's just great. It's really terrific. So thank you.
There's a lot of green.
There's a
lot of on
green.
track and some completed, so, and we're in year 2, so.
A lot of great things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A lot of great things, so thank you. Okay. Moving on to our board and committee reports, we have Stephanie. Building committee report.
Somewheres. The biggest thing that we talked about a couple different things. One of the things I had made a suggestion to shorten our meeting time from 1 hour to 30 minutes, and that was consented, approved by the committee. We talked about it and we thought it was a good idea. And knowing that further down the road, if we need to have a longer meeting, then we can. And part of the reason for the change in the length is the conclusion of ESSER funding and the possible shift towards the policy governance model. So we did approve that change. There was the bigger item, I guess, that we talked about was the Stafford Pump House it's aging, and we've had some issues in the recent that we need to investigate further. There has been a contract signed to do the work, and the replacement for that pump house in the forced main is going into over the course of 5 years to kind of like pay for it. There was a section of the pipe that failed, and that has been replaced, so that's always a plus. And thank you to Fabian Earthworks for the timely emergency repair on December 30th. And I know Pam had talked about it a little bit as well, the PA systems. There's a whole system upgrade, and I suggest you just read the minute notes because it's a lot and it's complex, and I don't want to screw it up. And I don't want to read this word for word either. So, but it's in the end, it will benefit the district greatly. And just another staff, a shout out, as Pam said, to Glenn and to all of his staff, and keeping our pathways and sidewalks and parking lots and roads and all of that clear of snow and ice. And also the note of that the maintenance secretary, who has been with RCPS, Margaret Clifford, will be retiring in February. So we have a new replacement who is doing well. So thank you, Margaret, for your almost 30 years of service. And that's it.
Any questions?
I feel compelled to just piggy on that retirement with the departure of Sherry Bizzaro, who has been with us for, I believe it's 42 years.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And,
I'm not crying.
yeah, so she's coming down to her last days. I think we're down to about 5 days.
Oh my goodness.
Only having worked closely with her for just these few months, she is invaluable, and we will be missed. We will miss her tremendously.
Yeah.
Okay. Finance and strategic planning, Mary Beth.
Great, thanks, Kathy. We covered two topics last Tuesday, January 6th, and they were the strategic plan and the fiscal year 27 budget. Of course, we just heard amazing amounts of tremendous information about the strategic plan tonight, so I think we've covered that. And then we also, like I said, covered the fiscal year 27 budget, which of course we approved tonight. There were only a few minor changes in expenses since what we reviewed in December. As you heard in tonight's budget presentation, the proposed budget is still expected to increase about 3.9% to a total of $69.8 million. Last week's budget review was the committee's fourth budget discussion going back to October. Committee members delved into a wide range of questions, including questions about salaries and benefits, which constitute 80% of the budget. We discussed how overall compensation costs next year reflect lower costs per person for new hires who have replaced about 30 retirees during the past year, since January 2025. It's a huge number, and we did see some significant cost savings because of that. Bianca offered comments about current expectations about federal title and other competitive grants. She said that guidance from the Agency of Education continues to anticipate relatively steady funding to RCPS for Title I, which is the district's largest federal grant. But Bianca added that funding for other federal title grants, including 2, 3, and 4, as well as some competitive grants, could be eliminated next year. The outlook at the federal level remains pretty uncertain at this time. The committee took no exception to the administration's plan to make a partial drawdown in fiscal year 27 of its working capital balances, again, as Ted mentioned tonight, with the blessings of our auditors. Doing so will help to maintain working capital at a level that is reasonable relative to annual expenditures, that between 12 and 15%. These plans were also reviewed with the district's public auditor in December, as I just mentioned. So, given the complexities of budgeting, education funding and the process for setting tax rates. Several committee members recommended that the administration develop clear and straightforward messages when communicating about the budget with our community, which we do plan on having plenty of information sessions coming up between now and town meeting day if folks want to learn more about our budget. More information on that to come. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 3rd at 5:30 p.m. Please note a new starting time because we will follow building committee, which is going to a half an hour. I believe we're going to try to stick to a half an hour as well, maybe, or we're going to.
You guys were an hour.
Thank you for that.
You guys.
Appreciate that.
But knowing that.
The agenda doesn't have an end time on it.
Yes.
just a
Right.
beginning time.
Okay, got it. So we have a 5:30 start instead of a 6 p.m. start on February 3rd. And that's it. Thank you. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you. So my turn. So we have our policy governance training, our next 2 sessions to explore policy governance, the Carver method, on January 20th and January 27th, are Tuesdays, from 6 to 8 p.m. There'll be warned meetings, right? They're open meetings. And yeah, hopefully you can all attend.
Location?
Here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. Pam talked a little bit about her testimony today. The House and Senate Education Committees have begun session again, focusing on Act 73. We will continue to monitor and track activity. And if you'd like to see Pam, you can actually see Pam's testimony as well as, I think it was 3 or 4 other witnesses testified.
4 others.
4 other witnesses testified on YouTube. You can just search Vermont Senate Education Committee, and it will pop up. Earlier this evening, we offered an information session for community members interested in joining the board. It was offered live on PEG TV and was recorded for future reference or for those who couldn't join. And we'd like to give a special thanks to Debbie Singizer with VSBA for facilitating and leading that session. If anyone is watching and is thinking of running for the school board, PEG TV will produce a candidate profile for you. So just contact PEG TV and yeah, okay. And that's it for me. Any questions? Okay. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Okay, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session to discuss personnel matters pursuant to Title I of Vermont Statutes, Section 313A1, because premature general public knowledge would place the district and employee at a substantial disadvantage.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Excuse me.